Hello everyone, we have a special treat today. As you can see, I am holding an over-under shotgun, but this is not just any over-under shotgun. Fortunately, we have a man here who knows all about finely made British shotguns, English shotguns, pretty much English firearms altogether. This is sort of a historian. His name is Thomas. Thomas, you were born and raised in England, correct?
I was, yes.
But dual citizenship now?
Yes, indeed. Moved to the United States just over 25 years ago.
And this is yours?
It is mine.
And you're going to tell us all about it.
This is a gun made by the London firm Frederick Beasley. It's one of the early examples of a functioning, workable, manufactured shotgun. They made 2 runs of these guns. This run of 15 guns was made originally in 1911. And this gun was sold in 1914, and it was sold for £174 in 1914.
And I have offered to double that, and he won't take it.
And to put this in context, the earliest British overrun design that really worked properly was the Boss design, and that was patented in 1909. So this era is when the leading gun makers in Britain and in London, which were the leading gun makers in the world at the time, were scrambling for an over and under design, and it predates the famous Browning design by 20 years.
Well, that brings up a question. Browning is well known for that, perfecting the over under. Can you demonstrate on this particular piece how they did it, and then tell us how it differs from what Browning came up with?
One of the peculiar features of this gun, which is unlike any of the other designs, is that the firing pins strike the caps of the cartridges perpendicularly. Most over and under designs, the firing pins come down at an oblique angle, which makes it somewhat more difficult to manufacture and less reliable in use. This is a side lock design, and you can see inside the lock here, there's the hammer sits here, and this large pin about here is the trunnion pin for that hammer. If we look at the other side of the lock, the pin is here at the top side of the lock. So this hammer is located upside down.
Oh, so it's swinging this way to
Correct,
strike this.
to strike the lower firing pin.
I'll be darned.
And then inside the action, which we aren't going to be able to look at, but the spindle that operates the bolt at the bottom is offset inside the action. So the firing pins actually go beside the spindle. So they are completely perpendicular to the firing caps. Absolutely unique piece of design.
Can you open it and show us
can.
anything in there?
But you can see the locking lugs here at the bottom are somewhat like a Browning. You can see this slot in the barrels where the bolt comes out of the action and slides into those to hold it in place. There's also a locking lug which you can't see from here, which locks into the fore-end piece, and there is a rising bolt which jumps up here, which locks into this slot on the top of the barrel.
So he's locking into 3 or 4 places?
5. There are 5 separate locking lugs on this particular action. They didn't want it to come apart. They wanted to reassure their customers that this gun wasn't going to fall apart in use.
Now, hold on a second, because I want to explain to some of our listeners who may not be all that familiar with over-under shotguns or even side-by-sides. You know, this is America. Autoloaders and pump actions, guys. But a concern with a shotgun like this, a break action, is shooting off the face. When the barrels are down and closed and the gun fires, you're getting torque, and it wants to hinge on its hinge pin against that force. Yeah. So you gradually weaken things, and that's why they're trying to lock the back of the breech here against the face. They call this area the face. They want to have some solid lockups, not just in one location, but several.
Yeah.
So if you can get a lock on the top, a lock on each side, a lock on the bottom, the more places you lock that together, the stiffer it's going to be and the longer it's going to last.
I think that's right. And I think it was much a marketing design, because this was, in 1911, a brand new design. And I suspect that they were worried that the shooting public in Britain, and not a great number, but this was an expensive gun in its time, and they needed to convince people that it was going to be reliable. And I think they over-engineered it. I think it's a bit like cup holders in American cars. You know, the more the merrier, and that within the design, they added these extra features because they just wanted to reassure their customers that this was going to work, because it was brand new technology. I mean, it really was nothing like this. The Boss gun was out by maybe a year, so this was just absolutely cutting edge in 1911. It looks like an old antique now, but
Well, I think what interests Americans is we all assume that Browning really came up with the first successful over-under. Maybe commercially successful on a larger scale.
I think you're actually right. It was almost certainly the most commercially successful over and under design.
But it certainly wasn't the only
Absolutely
or the
not.
original.
And the Boss design is, for those people that are more familiar with shotguns, is more like the Beretta and the Perazzi designs, where you have a pair of locking lugs that come out of the face and lock in the center of the barrels. This design locks into these slots here, which is much more like the Browning design. The Browning design has a long slot that goes right underneath both barrels. But there are elements of this design which Browning has utilized a similar function.
Pretty interesting. Can we take the fore end off and the barrels off and disassemble it?
Yes and no.
No. That's a new kind of answer.
To disassemble it, we can unlatch the fore end here.
Oh, it's got a latch to the side. That's different already.
And then we open the gun.
Well, you don't take the fore end wood off.
Take the fore end off. You have to just take
Holy
the barrels
mackerel.
away from the fore end like this.
And he's even got some wood in between the barrels.
Yes,
That
which is
matches-
similar to the Browning Superpose, the early Superpose with the split fore ends.
Yeah? I didn't know that.
The early ones, you have the two bits of wood on the top of the fore end are fixed to the barrel, and then it slides, the bottom end of the fore end slides forward
I didn't know that.
to remove it. So there's some similarity again between this design and the Browning design.
Now, how does this work? You're cocking down in the usual place, but the fore end is not loose.
Correct.
In modern over unders, all that is done here. And
Correct.
and then
All of the ejector mechanism is it's still in the fore end iron here, but it is so complicated that the two bits are held together.
Yeah.
You've got locking lugs that run here. The cocking dogs and ejector rods are way down deep inside this action. So you can just see if the camera will pack it up, Ron can see it. If when I close this, you will see. You can't really, but there's a bolt jumps forward here to lock the fore end
those
together. So
in.
the fore end here is firmly locked on when it's shut.
Yeah, that is a complicated mechanism.
It's enormously complicated. I had a gunsmith in England actually had to do some service work to this, and it took him 2 days to figure out how to take it apart.
Oh, really? Woohoo! So the Browning design was just much more simple, and that's probably why it caught on.
It was as wonderful as this is. Simple is not an adjective to use for it. No, it's an enormously complicated solution.
Hey, folks, if you want more information on old guns like this, good luck finding it. I didn't know anything about this until Thomas showed up, but it's pretty fascinating stuff. For me, shotguns are a wonderful tool to use to take me to my destination, which is to be outdoors, interacting with my dogs and the birds and such. But the more older I get and the more I study these things, the more interested I become. I think that's kind of standard, but if you'd like to find out more information on these guns, just start digging into it. And I think the more you learn, the more you know, the better you shoot, and the more you enjoy your entire enterprise. So I want to thank Thomas for bringing this beautiful Beasley shotgun. Yeah, and I hope we've all learned a little bit from it. I think I've had more questions than answers at this point. But let me know if you enjoy this kind of a gun review, folks, and we can do some more historical data and maybe get Thomas to come back with some more of his collection.
Be nice to.
Love it. All right, thanks so much. Hunt honest and shoot straight, whatever shotgun you choose to use.